we've got quite a few examples of that happening. We've had right back to about 10, 15 years ago nearly now, a player called Lionel Messi, who we found at about 16 playing in Barcelona's B team. And he was, if you signed him on the very first, on Football Manager 2005, he would have been absolutely brilliant for you and would have gone on to be the best player in the world, as he did in real life. We have several stories like that. We had Robert Lewandowski. He was well known in our game before he hit it in the big time. Mario Götze as well, Neymar. Young players like that who have shown real talent and ability. They're picked out by our network of scouts, as it were, our researchers. We have over 1,300 of those across the world, and they're watching real life football. They're watching these players in action week in, week out, and watching right up from the very youth teams to the first team. So we have more access to those players than any other scouting network in the world. We have either, depending on how big the league is in the footballing world. So, for example, in Ligue 1 or the Premier League, we would have each club would have a dedicated researcher. In some cases, the whole league has one researcher, but that researcher is out there looking at the players in that league and always rating them in a series of attribute fields which are put into the game. So when you see a player's profile in the game, that data has all been collected by a researcher, a real life person who has gone out and judged that player on that criteria and has set what they think that player, what level that player is performing at. I think Football Manager as well, particularly at lower levels of football, is a really important tool for maybe a club to have a first look at a player in terms of their raw data. We always say that we don't want our database to take over from the scouts, and you should never sign someone just on the back of playing Football Manager, because it's a lot of money to spend without having actually seen a player play yourself. But yeah, we have had certain managers get in touch and say, is this player, what do you think of this player? Is he good? Do you think he'd be a good fit for my side? So obviously the game is having an impact now at a footballing level as well as at a gaming level. So it's different thing now. But now the game has become so advanced that it's not necessarily about a player's ability. It's about how well they'll fit into your team as well from a personality point of view. But I will say there is one player who I have noticed, and he's one player who I've signed. I don't know if he's not any good for anyone else, then don't hold it on my head. But there's a player who I signed from Heerenveen in the Dutch league called Bilal Basikoglu. I think that's how you pronounce his name. And he was absolutely amazing for me. He was 19, I think, and then he went from, I signed him in the summer, and then by the end of the season he had been named the best young player in Europe. So I couldn't say any better than that, really. He was absolutely fantastic.